Come into this circle. Come as you are, with your doubts and despair, your weariness and your wonder, that we might hold each other in love and compassion, that we might offer ourselves that same love and compassion, perfectly imperfect as we all are. We have not always spoken gently to that person in the mirror. We have not always offered the same kindness we give to others. Come into this circle where we can begin again. We come to shake free the old stories that whisper, we are not enough. We come to breathe in beauty and breathe out burdens. Here we practice compassion for our hearts, for our bodies, for our becoming. Here we learn to hold ourselves as tenderly as we hold the world. Come into this new day just as you are. Come and let us worship together. The Buddha teaches or tells us to hold yourself as a mother holds her beloved child. Self-compassion is a central component to Buddhist practice. And our opening hymn this morning, Filled with Loving Kindness, is adapted from the Buddhist metta prayer, which is a loving kindness prayer. And so that's number 1031 in your teal hymnal. Now, normally when we sing the song, we start with, may I be filled with loving kindness, may I be well, and so on. And then with each verse it changes, may you be filled, may we be filled, as a kind of starting from the inside and moving outward. But sometimes the hardest person we have to offer loving kindness to is ourselves. And so this time maybe we're going to start a little easy and offer that loving kindness to the we, and then the you, and then finally with the I. Please rise in body or in spirit and join with me in singing Filled with Loving Kindness. Loving kindness, may we be well, may we be filled with loving kindness, may we be well, may we pick that up just a little bit. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May I be filled And I invite you, as you are comfortable, to remain risen as we light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. I'd like to invite River and Olivia and Matthias up to light our chalice this morning. We need a new match for you. There you go. I guess all three of you can hold it. Feels like a Ouija board. Like this chalice here.
We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of service.
Thank you.
And I invite those who are participating on Zoom to light your chalice and write in the chat where you are lighting your chalice. Let us say, well, no, please join me in saying or listening to the affirmation of this congregation. You should find it on the screen and on the order of service. It's also inscribed in many of our hearts. We say it in English and then in Spanish as a symbol of the many languages spoken in this community and beyond, the many languages of the soul.
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls may grow into harmony with the divine. This do we covenant with one another. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia, la búsqueda de la verdad es su sacramento, y el servicio es su oración. Habitar juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con libertad, y servir a la humanidad juntos, con el fin de que todas las almas puedan crecer en armonía con lo divino. Esto es lo que pactamos unos con otros.
As your worship associate today, I warmly welcome you to my church home, our church home. Like any healthy family, we have our differences in ages, identities, abilities, opinions, beliefs, ways of being, and economic situations. And yet we still come together with love, which is at the heart of our professed values. I'm Marnie Singer. The best description I have found for my identity is non-standard. I am a scoliosexual non-binary female. Scolio from the Greek word for bent or not straight, which to me means that I am drawn to non-binary and transgender people. Years ago, I learned from a younger person in the congregation that if a person states their identity, there is no argument. They are what they say they are. I'm a scoliosexual, non-binary female. I'm growing in awareness of my unearned privilege. I challenge myself to continue expanding the circle of my understanding, acceptance, and support. My recent experiences healing from a total knee replacement have given me new understanding of disability and aging. Now, let us symbolically bridge the gap between Zoom and sanctuary. If our camera person can put the view on gallery, And those online turn on their cameras. We can see your images on the wall, or we can see your names. And then, if our camera person then scans the room and people here look at the camera, which is over there, we can wave at each other. I know, it's not the same as breathing the same air, but we do our best to include those who are not physically here. Yeah. So today we're having a shorter all-age service, so children will stay here in the sanctuary. The nursery downstairs welcomes little ones up to kindergarten age. A monitor should be streaming the service to the nursery so parents can still see the service if they stay to help their kids acclimate. The upstairs restroom, as you may have noticed, is undergoing renovation and is not available today. Newly renovated restrooms are available downstairs, and there is an elevator too. If you're new here, you've already gotten a taste of who we are. Hang in a bit longer and you'll see even more dimensions. I, for one, would like to get to know you. And if you're not new here, please reach out to someone you've never talked to before. I know it's hard for the introverts among us, but some of us come to church to stretch ourselves. Not only do we welcome people who've been marginalized in the past, we strive to stand in solidarity. We want to stay awake and aware as a community of resistance to hatred and violence, and we stand ready to partner with other communities of resistance. So welcome, all of us, as our whole, broken, beautiful, and ever-growing selves. And now, let's take a deep breath and settle in. Release some of the burdens you've been carrying and open your heart and mind to what we will share here. I hope we all experience something today which makes us glad to have come.
Good morning. We light this candle in recognition of the Tamian and Mwekma Ohlone indigenous peoples, who were the first humans to inhabit and sustain this land thousands of years before settler colonizers arrived. We honor the resilience of these indigenous peoples in the face of devastating harm. And today, we pledge our special collection for October to their neighbors to the south, the Amamutsan Tribal Band, whom we have been supporting since 2019 to support, thank you, Joyce, to support the, to preserve their sacred land of Eurostock. Please donate generously, as the Land Trust really appreciates our donations on every year to ensure that their culture continues to thrive. If you want to know more, please go to page 12 of the October church newsletter. Kathryn always has lots of information about the tribe and other indigenous people in the area. And you'll also find out there that they just recently acquired their first land in their indigenous territories by purchasing a 50-acre piece that was right in the wildlife corridor between Eurostock and the Gavilan and bigger mountain range. So Friends of Eurostock remains, and the tribe remain hopeful for further purchases of the Sargent Quarry lands. As you'll remember, the Peninsula Open Space Trust purchased 2 large parcels of the Eurostock Sacred Landscape last spring, leaving only the land that has the quarry on it. But we're hopeful that that will be resolved. So you'll be interested to know that in July, Amamutsan Youth had an overnight stay on that land. It makes me cry when Alexei told us what it meant to them to put their feet on their land for the first time in 225 years, to make ceremony and welcome their elders the next day to join them. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. To the work of the church, which is making love visible in all that we say and do, we dedicate ourselves and these our offerings.
This reading happens to be by my friend McHale Collins, who was at Star King when I was, and then she went to my mother's church in Wilmington, Delaware. We come carrying the weight of our own harsh verdicts against ourselves, guilty, insufficient, forever falling short of some impossible standard. We would never speak to a friend the way we speak to ourselves in the dark hours before dawn. There is a tenderness we save for others that we ration from our own souls, a forgiveness we grant freely to strangers while our own mistakes echo endlessly in memory's courtroom. We have learned to be generous with everyone but the person in the mirror. May we learn the revolutionary act of self-befriending. When shame whispers its familiar poison, may we remember we are not our worst moments. We are not the sum of our regrets. We are beloved, imperfect, gloriously human. worthy of the same gentle mercy we yearn to give the world. May we learn that loving ourselves is not vanity, but necessity, the deep well from which all other love must flow.
And now it's time for our story for all ages. So those who are young or young at heart, if you'd like to join me down here in the center of our labyrinth for the story, I'd be glad to have you. So that reading we just heard was about loving ourselves, sometimes maybe when we don't feel like we should. This is also a story about that. It's a story called Zero by Kathryn Otoshi. And I think the pictures will be up behind me in just a moment. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to find compassion for ourselves. So who knew that they were going to be showing up to church and getting a math lesson? Anyone? Counting? You're like, wait, that's what I do during the week. How are we coming on the PowerPoint? There we go. Although it doesn't look like that's the opening page. There we go. All right. Zero by Kathryn Otoshi. Zero was a big, round number. When she looked at herself, she just saw a hole right in her center. Every day, she watched the numbers line up. She wanted to count 2. But how could a number worth nothing become something? Zero felt empty inside. She watched 1 having fun with the others. 1 was solid and strong with bold strokes and squared corners. 0 was big and round with no corners at all. If I were like 1, then I could count 2, she thought. So she pushed and she pulled and she stretched and she straightened. She forced and flattened and finally became 0. She sighed. Becoming like 1 was too much of a stretch. 8 and 9 rolled into the scene. If you double yourself up, you'll be just like me, said 8. So 0 twisted and turned and tried to be 8. Or you could be a 9 with a longer line, said 9. So 0 pinched and puckered and tried to be 9. But 0 could only be 0. We're on our way to join the others. Come count on us, said 8 and 9. 0 felt deflated. 8 and 9 were numbers with value. Of course they'd count. How could they know how she felt? Well, 0 had a new thought. If she could impress the numbers, that would give her value. She'd leap, she'd soar, she'd sizzle, she'd shine. She'd make a grand entrance and floor them all. And so 0 began to roll faster and faster and faster, and she leapt, flying, soaring, rocketing, right into 1, who knocked over 2, who fell into 3 and 4, toppling 5 and 6, who crashed into 7 and 8, where they all ended up in a big pile on 9. All of the numbers were bent out of shape. It's no use trying, sobbed 0. I'll never have value. I'll never be part of the count, she said. It's what's inside that counts most, pointed out 7. 0 looked at herself. But what if I don't have anything inside? Every number has value, said 7. Be open, you'll find a way. Suddenly, 0 saw herself in a new light. I'm not empty inside. I'm open. 0 rolled up to the other numbers. I thought of a way for us to count even more, she said. Count more? Asked 4. Count us in, exclaimed 7. Lead the way, said 1. Everyone counts, the numbers shouted. 0 jumped in, and then she leapt high and said, here's something we can try. If we can help each other soar, we can count even more. Let's count again, starting with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and what's next? 100. The anticipation is killing me. 100. Apparently, it's very hard to count to 100. 100. Next slide, please. There we go. It takes a while. 100, 1,000. Say it with me. 10,000, 100,000. What comes next? 1,000,000. We do count more, they cheered. 0 and the numbers explored and had fun, bringing more value to everyone. And this time, when she looked at herself, she felt whole, right in her center. The end. All right. Thank you for joining me for this story. And so before we go off to our Action Sunday, I have a little reflection. And I know the kids aren't often in here during the reflection, but this is an all-ages service. So you can go back to your seats, or if you really want to, you can continue to sit here on the labyrinth, if that sounds good to you. I tried to write a reflection that I think would be interesting to everyone, and especially the kids, anyone who's been through school. Back in first grade, my teacher was meeting with my parents for a parent-teacher conference, as they do at the beginning of the year, just to talk about how things are going. And the teacher told my parents, well, Matthew is a good student, and he's well-behaved in the classroom, but he also likes to daydream, and sometimes he can get distracted and not listen to what's going on. This was a challenge that I had, and it caused me some challenges. So throughout school, maybe because I wasn't paying attention, I would forget to do my homework. Sometimes, because I wasn't paying attention, I would forget to write it down. And so I might, if I remembered, I would call one of my classmates whose number I had, who had written it down, and find out what the work there was to do. Sometimes even then I would still forget it, or maybe have a hard time working on it. In middle school, my parents came up with an idea. They made me get a signature from all of my teachers, I had 6 teachers, to sign off that I had turned in my homework each week at the end of the week. Otherwise, I would miss out on, I couldn't do some special fun activity this weekend if there was one, like maybe having an overnight with one of my friends. And one Friday, I didn't get a signature from one of my teachers saying I had done all of my homework. And, I might even have done the homework, but maybe I forgot to get their signature. That happened a couple times. And so I had to miss out on my family's planned visit to Disneyland that weekend. Now, I grew up close to Disneyland, so I had been there before, but still, missing out on Disneyland, boy, I was mad. I was so mad. And I was mad at my parents, who didn't understand and said I still couldn't go to Disneyland, even if I may have done my homework, and just forgot to get the signature. But mostly, I was mad at myself. Now, I got a little bit better at getting my teachers' signatures after that. But it didn't necessarily make me better at paying attention in class. And I also didn't get better at focusing on doing my homework. Things that I loved, like playing with Legos, I could get lost in for hours and hours, just intensely focused on building whatever I was doing. But if it wasn't something that I enjoyed, if it wasn't something that I wanted to be doing, I had a harder time focusing. One year after Halloween, I gave myself a reward to help me focus. So after I finished 10 math problems, maybe it was 5, I would get to have 1 piece of Halloween candy. And that kept me motivated and probably also kept me from getting a tummy ache from eating too much candy all at once. But eventually, my candy stash ran out, and that strategy didn't work anymore until the next Halloween. In middle school, I remember one time we had a big project that we had several weeks to work on and complete. So naturally, I did almost all of it the night before it was due. And I didn't really have enough time. There was a lot of work to do, and so I had to stay up late, and it was feeling stressful. And so even with some support from my parents and some crying and breakdowns, and I don't want to do this. I hate this project. I got it done, but it was not fun. It was probably around that time that I learned there was a name for people like me. I was a procrastinator. Someone who always put things off until the last minute, which often caused problems. And I tried changing, but it was hard. Maybe you have something that you wish was different about yourself. Maybe you're quick to have a temper. You get angry easier than you would like. Or maybe you wished you were better at something and get frustrated at it when you aren't, like playing a new sport or learning a new instrument. Maybe you wished your body worked better, or maybe when you turn to look at the screen and you notice the bald spot on the back of your head. Boy, did I try hard not to be a procrastinator. I read about tips on how to stop procrastinating, but whatever I tried never seemed to really work. I always wanted to focus on what I was doing in the moment, not the thing that could be done later. I couldn't get my brain to focus until I had the pressure to get things done. And it was frustrating. It caused me challenges in school and in other parts of my life. Now, 30 years later, I was working on writing this last night. But mostly I was working on writing it this morning. Even in the car while we were on our way to church. And my wife is driving, don't worry. And sometimes I still forget, or I still don't respond to an email as fast as I should, or maybe don't respond at all. But the difference is between then and now is that about 6 years ago, I started getting less mad at myself about it. I've learned that that's just the way my brain works. And that wishing I had a different brain can't really do much. But on the other, and additionally, one of the things that I learned is that tendency towards procrastination and also distractibility, that hard time focusing, was a reflection of a brain that was constantly thinking, constantly moving, constantly going with different thoughts and making connections with different things that would just pop into my head and synthesizing them. And I know that that actually makes me a better writer. Sometimes I'm writing the sermon in my head while I'm preaching it. The sermon isn't written until I'm speaking it to you because I'm still making those connections and thinking, oh, that's a great idea I could add in. And I think that distractibility is also part of having a pretty creative mind. The other thing that I learned is rather than trying to fight how my brain worked, I could love it and appreciate it and give it tender care, even if it didn't work exactly the way I might like it to. Because I'm just human. We are all just human. Perfectly imperfect. And the funny thing is that by having compassion for myself, rather than being angry at myself, because when I was angry, I was just focused on being angry. But when I would have compassion for myself, when I would love myself, even those parts that were harder to love, I was able to look at them and find strategies that help me work with the parts that cause me challenges. And I know that work is going to be work for my entire life. And so I think we could all give ourselves the opportunity to offer us grace, to offer ourselves love when we aren't exactly the person we wish we would be. Because we're all beautiful in our own particular way. I hope you carry that message with you in your heart. We are all beautiful in our own particular way. And even the hard parts of us are still worthy of love. I know one of the ways many of us feel like we aren't showing up the way we would like in this moment is due to the chaos in our country, in our world, in our fears for our well-being and our safety, for the safety and well-being of our friends and neighbors and loved ones. And so sometimes we can get frustrated out of that. We maybe act out of that, not in our best ways. So I want to close us. I want to offer a prayer. This is adapted from Nadia Boltz-Weber, who's a Lutheran pastor who founded the Church for All Sinners and Saints. Great writer. So I invite you to join me in a spirit in a meditation or prayer. God, Goddess, that which is known by many names and beyond all naming, and whose highest name is love. Please forgive me for how I acted when that Amazon truck was blocking my driveway the other day. In your endless compassion, you know my rage was really about every form of fear I am trying to keep at bay right now. How it all sort of broke through my exhausted defenses because I was coming home from the gym and was really hungry. When I see others not being the best version of themselves, guide me to compassion for them, that in doing so I might also have compassion for myself. You know how fragile we are. And next time when I am that hungry, please nudge me to eat a dang sandwich first, and then respond to whatever it is that feels like it's trying to attack me. And when I inevitably try and control everything and everyone in my life, please have mercy upon me, for you know that what I am really doing is responding to how powerless I feel over every single thing in the news cycle every single day. Spirit of compassion, please accept this stupid and insufficient little prayer, for those are the only ones I have in me right now. Amen, and blessed be. I'll invite you to rise in body and spirit for our closing hymn. May Your Life Be as a Song. It's number 1029 in your teal hymnal. We'll sing it through twice. I invite you to reach out and take the hand or bump elbows or touch a shoulder with someone nearby you. Make a connection. To those of you joining us on Zoom, I invite you to send your energy to us as we send ours out to you. I offer these words from the Reverend David Breeden. Go out into the world, not to be perfect, but to practice. To be a practitioner of compassion. Wherever you go today, may you seed compassion. May your hands remember how to tend and your heart how to return when compassion is hard. For no garden grows in a day, but they grow. Go in peace and practice growing. Now, today is an Action Sunday, so I'll let you take a seat if you want. So for those of you who haven't been here before, this is something we're doing once a month. So we have a shorter worship service, and then we have a variety of different activities that are listed in the bottom of your order of service. So we have five different activities. The first two of which will be on Zoom, and so you can pick which one sounds most interesting to you. And so these are workshops about 30 to maybe 40 minutes. And so choose whichever one sounds most appealing to you. And then after your workshop is finished, please join us in Hattie Porter Hall for coffee and social hour. So the first one is to reflect on the worship topic, which is to dive deeper into the topic of self-compassion, and that'll be with me upstairs in the youth room, so you can go upstairs or take the elevator. It's just next to the elevator doors. That one's also available on Zoom in a breakout room. So if you want to join that, the breakout room will open soonish. We also have chancel decoration, worshiping with our eyes. So often we focus on the words in worship, but we always have these beautiful decorations of our chancel. And actually, next week, we're going to be building one of the most spectacular ones that I know many of you are familiar with, which is our altar, our ofrenda for our Dia de los Muertos service next week. So we have a couple of days, 2 o'clock on Thursday and Friday. If you want to help build those, we'd invite you to come show up, and also to bring a memento or picture of someone who's passed away next week to place on our altar. But this workshop is going to be about the process of decorating the altar and what goes into it. So that'll be here in the sanctuary, and that will also, if you want to join on Zoom, just stay right here in this space. Outside, you can see the sun is beaming through our windows, and so we have a workshop on solar cooking, which is going to be led by Indra Frank. So this is about learning how to cook with a solar oven, no electricity, no gas, no fuel, just the sun's rays. So, and it even works on a partly cloudy day like today. And I'm glad that the sun is like shining right at this moment. It's perfect. Earlier this week, I know many of us were worried about ICE deployments to the Bay Area, which at least we've gotten temporary reprieve from. But that concern it still continues to be high. So if you're interested in knowing how you might support our local immigrant communities, we have a workshop led by our accompaniment team, which has been working to accompany people who are navigating the immigration process, and that'll be in the fireside room to learn a little bit more about that work and how you can help. And then finally, downstairs in our classrooms, we have the affirmation boxes. So this is a craft project to remind ourselves, making boxes and putting little slips of paper with affirmations in it, to remind ourselves of how awesome we are, especially when things feel hard. And so this is a special one that we got a few things already written. And this box is actually going to be for Haley Price, who is our outgoing RE coordinator. As many of you know, today is Haley's last day. I don't know if you can come up here, Haley. So yesterday at our pumpkin carving party, we started collecting some of these letters of affirmation and gratitude, like this one: thank you for your kindness, so that even when you are no longer with us, you can take us in your hearts. And so also after the service, there's going to be some cake in the social hall, and on that same table as the cake is more little notes. So if you want to go ahead and write a note to Haley, I invite you to please do that. And so, and if you want to spend one more activity with Haley, go downstairs and work on an affirmation box, which she will be leading. So, but thank you very much. And best wishes and blessings. I don't know, did you want to say something? No? All right.
I'm gonna cry if I start doing that.
Well, thank you for your service. We've appreciated your presence in this community. And with that, let's go off to our activities. And if you see someone who maybe doesn't look like they know where they're going, please ask them if you can help them direct them to where they need to go.